Trick or treat, the St. Louis Blues' 2025-2026 season. What do you choose?
Hey, this is Brayden Chen. Subscribe to Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today on Locked On Blues, we're going to talk about the fact that the Blues have been playing really bad hockey. By doing so, I decided to make this into a Halloween theme since it is Halloween. I'm wearing like a basic pink shirt, so like nothing that cool. But I decided that we can do our tricks and treats of the season so far. We also need to talk about Brayden Schenn losing control of the puck during the shootout. Honestly, it was not that great of a game, okay? We had a lot of bad things happen, a lot of things that I did not like, but we're going to talk about it on today's episode. I also want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. I hope everybody is having a happy Friday. This is a Halloween Friday, and the Blues lost last night. They did not win against the Canucks. However, they did get a point, and that is something that I am going to cherish so much since it's been 9 days since the Blues last got a point from yesterday's game. So it's been quite a while. The boys in blue have been denied. However, they finally got a point, and that's at least somewhat of a positive. But I feel like I'm kind of crashing out a little bit talking about the Blues just because my expectations of the season have not been met thus far. And I know that it's not a lot of games played. And I understand that. And I get that 120 million%. But at the same time, this offseason, I felt like we were promised something that we're not seeing. It felt like we were promised a team that was going to be a contending team. Now, granted, it's been like 10 games, 11 games, and they haven't been playing good hockey. Now, for some people, and there's people on social media that are a little bit optimistic. And they're saying things like, hell, they have so many games left, 70 plus games left. And what I would like to say is we're in the most competitive division in hockey. The Central is the most competitive, and I need you to understand what that means. It's not like this is a division where you can go on a losing streak and then all of a sudden after you win a couple games, you're back in contention. No, this is a division where you need to be consistently good. What is happening to the Blues right now is such a concern in so many ways because I'm concerned about players that we should not be concerned about. I should not be concerned about Joel Hofer as he was a backup that I had a lot of confidence in. And now I am getting concerned. I'm not done. I'm not out on him. Okay. Nothing crazy like that. But I am going to be concerned. And I think that's like a very valid type of statement considering the games that he's had. And I want your opinion on this too. What players have you the most concerned? Because I feel like you would not be honest and truthful if you say none. I'm sure there's a few players that come to your mind in terms of players that make you feel concerned. And that is totally valid and totally normal. And if you didn't feel that way, I would actually question what you're watching on the ice because it certainly can't be the St. Louis Blues. You see, this is a team that has so much potential, more potential than I think we give them credit for. I mean, considering the young talent, I am so impressed by Snuggerud. I am impressed by my guy Dvorsky having such a great game, by the way, last night, Dvorsky. But to me, that's where I see the potential. I see Jordan Kyrou with a point streak, okay? I see Jake Neighbors killing it. I know he's on IR, but still, you get the point. I see a lot of positives amongst all of the negatives. And that is why I ask you, how can we look at this team and try to brainstorm and figure out ways where they can get better. Because for me right now, I don't see that. We have a comment from Todd. Again, this is the Halloween special where we're talking if the Blues are a trick or a treat. So make sure to leave your comment and make yourself known, because this is a conversation that you and we need to have, because it is not so good right now. Let's get to Todd. Todd said, not good at all. Where did it all go wrong since last spring? Where's the leadership of Robert Thomas? If things don't change, I can see the Blues cleaning house in a buyer's market. And here's my response to that. With Robert Thomas being injured right now, I do kind of question, what was his health like prior to that, right? I think when it comes to leadership, I think that's actually a very valid point. I know there's some people on the beat that are saying that we should not be questioning leadership, but at the end of the day, yeah, you need to question the leadership, because the leaders of this team are not stepping up. We're not seeing that from Braden Shen. We're not seeing that from Colton Parayko and Justin Falk, besides Robert Thomas. So I think that is a very valid statement. And I personally think when the Jets beat the Blues, I think that's where it all went wrong, to be completely honest with you. I think that game, it killed them, right? 1.7 seconds killed them. So I think for me, at least, that's where it went wrong. We have another comment from the Midnight Captain. Thank you again for tuning in. I am a Red Wings fan. Congratulations, by the way, on your 4 points that you got from us. And I can sympathize with the disappointment of that 4-0 comeback. Blues have a good goalie and some good kids in the system. Hope you all turn it around, just not against us, LOL. And you don't have to worry about that, because we will not be playing you again. You won the series against the Blues this season 2-0. That game, to me, and I'm glad that this user brought this up, because that game, when the Blues came so close, in my opinion, to having one of their best games of the season, to just blowing it, absolutely blowing it, that's when it hit me that this team doesn't have the energy to sustain a full length hockey game, okay? When you have a 4-0 lead, you need to play like you want to keep that lead. And the Blues evidently lost energy. So for me, at least, that was a game where it was kind of like a turning point in my head, to where I was like, oh, this is actually really problematic, because if you cannot sustain a 4-0 lead, then I don't want to defend how you're playing. Um, was bringing in Lucic a trap? Trick. It's interesting. I know that he's injured, and I'm curious when they're going to utilize him, because I think that's what it's going to come down to. I know that Doug EA said that they were going to give him an in-season professional tryout. I don't know. At this point, nothing hurts, right? So I feel like maybe you should maybe decide to use him, in my opinion. Um, And this is another good point. Last season, the Blues were a comeback team. We called them the comeback kids. They were winning so many games in the final frame, overtime, shootouts. And this season, it does not seem like that whatsoever. It feels like they lost their identity. The great Chris Pronger, he put out a tweet a couple of days ago, kind of like saying, what do the Blues need to do to get back, their swagger again? And I don't know if there is an answer to that. I really don't. I think that this is a team that looks like they gave up. I'll say it how it is. They look like a team that gave up. So I don't know if there's anything that this team can necessarily do to bring back the swagger. I think some of what the Blues need to do is make some trades and change it up. I know that we all have our attachments to certain players. I know I do, and I'm very vocal about the players that I like and I'm biased about. However, I also want to have a team that's going to win hockey games. And when I'm looking at players that have been playing really good hockey for the Blues this season, I'm looking at Jake Neighbors, Jordan Kyrou, Jimmy Snuggerud, and I have to say, after last night's performance, Dvorsky. Other than that, I've been disappointed by Dylan Holloway, Philip Broberg, even. Cam Fowler, I haven't noticed. Logan May, not for me. Tyler Tucker, I mean, he fights, but is that it? The defense is really hard to defend. And I can't defend a defense that Bushi, I forgot about him. That's how invisible he's been. And I just can't defend some of these players. I can't defend it. I can't. I can't. I'm sorry. I know it sounds negative. It sounds like I'm just coming on here not positive, but for me, I can't defend some of this. We're going to continue this conversation as we look ahead to the next couple games and maybe talk and see if we can figure out a way that the Blues can win. But I want to talk to you about my friends over at Gametime. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress free. I love Game Time because I love the fact that I can see exactly where I'm sitting for my seat view. I also know that there is no hidden fees. Oh, by the way, you can even find NHL tickets for under $25. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Welcome back to this Halloween episode of Locked on Blues. Again, your host, Haley Taylor Simon. And we are talking about the Blues, if they're a trick or a treat this season. I think we can all agree that this is a trick. This is not a fun situation at all. I'm miserable. Last night's game, like they find a way to lose even when they have an opportunity to win. I mean, Schenner loses control of the puck, which is insane. And then Jake DeBrusk is able to score and win it. Like, how? Also, why are you having Braden Shen go third in the shootout? I would have personally put Dvorsky in that position just because of how good of a game he had. Also, Coach Montgomery said one of the reasons why they called him up is because of how well he shoots the puck. So why would you not have him in that position? Also, why are you losing the puck? I know that things happen and mistakes happen, but for me, I just don't know how many bad luck situations the Blues can be in, but they do it to themselves. I can't blame like the hockey gods on this one when they're doing it themselves. Like this is basic hockey 101. Don't lose the puck in a shootout. Okay. Again, you can leave me your thoughts. And I know this is still Haley. I know my hair was black before, it's not now. But it's still me, and we're still talking about the Blues, and I'm still crashing out. So what's new? Speaking of crashing out, I have good news for us. There's no Blues hockey tonight. Oh, I know. Listen, we have to look through the positives, and my positive is that the Blues are not playing tonight because right now I am just so frustrated with what they're doing on the ice. But they are back in action tomorrow night as they're in Columbus to take on the Blue Jackets. So it's the Blues versus the Blue Jackets. Oh my gosh, talk about a tongue twister. Columbus is doing, I mean, honestly, not so great this season with 6 wins and 4 losses. However, that is still 3 more wins than the Blues have. So, wow, that's really embarrassing, actually. The Columbus Blue Jackets playing better than the Blues, honestly, is like, oh, this is so frustrating. I'm laughing because if I don't laugh, I'll say words that will get me in trouble on YouTube. But yeah, no, it's not good. Like this is bad actually. So, wow, that's really bad. Anyways, so they play Columbus, right? And then they head back to St. Louis because on Monday night, you guess who they're hosting and guess who they're going to lose to? The Edmonton Oilers. And that means that the most annoying fan base in the NHL because Oiler fans always come at me. How's Holloway? How's Broberg? You guys lost. We won. We're better. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, you are better. Congratulations, your team is better. Okay, do you want a cookie? Congratulations. Yeah, you have Connor McDavid, who's one of the best players yet to win a Stanley Cup, but you have him. Congratulations. Guess who won the cup most recently? The St. Louis Blues, baby. Now, okay, listen. I know 2019, but still, I hate fan bases that come at players when they don't even keep up with what these players do. And what I mean by that is last year, after the Blues lost in the first round in the playoffs to the Jets, Oiler fans were commenting on my show, what happened to Holloway? He didn't do anything in this series. Yeah, Dylan Holloway was hurt. He wasn't playing. Like, you can't insult a player when they're not even on the ice. Like, so for that reason, I have beef with Oiler fans. But okay, listen, I can go into a whole rant about how I feel about the Edmonton fans. But the Oilers, I mean, they're doing all right this season, right? With 5 wins, 4 losses, and 3 OTL. So still top 4 right now in the Pacific. So that again is a team that okay, can we like actually be realistic for a second? Do you think the Blues are going to win a game again? And I'm not even like being sarcastic, but like by any means in that statement. I am being like blunt. Do you think they're going to win a game again? And the reason why I ask this, right? After they host the Oilers, they go to Washington to play the Capitals. Then they host the Sabres. Okay, the Sabres are not a good team, so they could potentially beat Buffalo. They could, like, again, potentially, right? My expectations with this team are so low that any team necessarily that plays the Blues, I'm like, you know what? Most likely you're going to win just based off of how this team is playing. And right now, I know, oh my God, Haley, you're looking at rankings. Yeah. Well, the Blues are 30th. Okay, right? The Sabres are 25th, right? So the Sabres are clearly playing better than the Blues, right? So for that in itself, I'm like, ooh. But the Blues are 30th, right, with 8 points. Guess who also has 8 points? San Jose. And then 6 points for Calgary. So you know what that tells me? That tells me, Haley, you know what? Congratulations. You guys get McKenna. Tank for McKenna. Oh my goodness. This team, this team, this team. We really may never win a hockey game again. Like, I just want you to understand that. Now, we do have one comment saying, yes, so you do believe the Blues will win a game again. And I like how hopeful you are. I wish I could be like that. The only reason why I'm not like that is because I feel like, at least for me, I set myself up for disappointment when it comes to the Blues. And I don't know how much disappointment I can take because honestly, it is just ruining my nights, my days. I'm crashing out on Twitter. I mean, if you want to see some of my tweets that I made because I was hashtag crashing out. Happy Halloween. This team is a trick. A curse got put on the Blues when they traded Bull Duke. I'm crashing out over the Blues because I care. Don't get it twisted. The Blues didn't play a better game. They were flat. They had plenty of opportunities for rebounds and couldn't connect. The Blues almost had 40 shots on goal and only 3 went in. We're a bottom 3 team. Stop saying to trade players that have a no trade clause. It's October. It's only going to get worse. Not to be that person, but how is Army setting up Steen for success with this group of players? Pros, Snuggie and Dvorsky, cons, a 25-26 Blues. I love Shem, but that was brutal. I'm sure he knows that too. This is unreal in a bad way. That was all within like 10 minutes. So like, yeah, I'm crashing out, like, right? I'm going to continue on with your comments, so keep on leaving them for this Halloween spooktacular edition of Locked On Blues. I know I'm a blondie again. And we're going to talk to you about my friends over at FanDuel before we wrap up the spooktacular. So make sure to get your comments in on if the Blues are a trick or a treat. But first, my friends at FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into same game parlays for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Hi. I feel like we talked it all out, right? We know that this team is going through a rough patch. But most importantly, I think that right now with the Blues, we have so much of the season left, right? And I'm not going to be optimistic in this sense. I think they're going to go to the playoffs, right? I'm not going to be crazy right now. But what I can say is we have to look at the positives. We have to look at players like a Snuggerud or a Dvorsky, a Jake Neighbors, a Jordan Kyrou that are doing good because we need to focus on some positivity with individuals rather than the whole team aspect of this is all falling apart. And I'm really upset watching Blues hockey when they play because I just know I'm going to be disappointed. Because that's how it feels. But either way, I think that when it comes to this team, we need to just keep in mind a few things. We cannot give up on them. And what I mean by that is this it's simple. We can be disappointed with how they're playing. I am. We can be completely frustrated with certain players because I am. But we have to continue watching. We have to continue supporting. And listen, I know how expensive it is to go to games. And I'm not telling you necessarily to do that. But don't just tune out right now out of frustration, right? I love this team so much. So much. And I have to keep in mind all summer when I'm craving hockey, this is what I want. I want hockey. Now, I want good hockey, and this is not good hockey, but I still want hockey. And I want to also say this because this actually is going to sound optimistic and, oh my God, 2019, rent free, blah, blah, blah. But that season when we won the cup, we were in last place in the West in the beginning of the year and we won. So I'm not saying it's impossible. It's not. But it's definitely one of those things where it's like, you know what? We can't just necessarily not have any hope because I think right now, when it comes to hope, we need a little bit just for the pure fact that if we don't have any, then how are we going to enjoy any of this, right? And I think that's what it comes down to. I have been back and forth. I have been yelling at people. I've been so angry about this team, more angry in ways that you have no idea. Like, I have been fighting with people, I've been crashing out. Like, it's been a lot. But I do think what's most important for you and I right now is to understand that if it gets worse, that just means that you're not going to win. And we've seen that. So, I don't think there's anything that's worse than not winning. Now, again, like, the shootout was bad. Like, okay, I don't know, I'm frustrated, okay? I am so frustrated. I am annoyed, I am mad, I am all the emotions and above and more, and you know what? I'm trying to be positive on this Halloween, but it's hard because the only thing that scares me is the lack of points that the Blues have, honestly, so, um Am I Rapunzel? No, I am going tonight, by the way, as Liv Morgan from the WWE. I'm not in my costume yet, but I'm going as Liv. I actually used to be a platinum blonde for 7 years of my life, so this is my old hair color. So I feel like I'm me again, if we're being honest. Like, this feels more me than my dark hair, so it feels good again. But Halloween, right? I love Halloween. It's one of my favorite holidays. And man, I'm just so happy that I don't have to watch a recap video of the Blues losing tonight. Like like I know that sounds bad, But at the end of the day, like, I get to enjoy my Halloween without worrying about the fact that the Blues are going to end up losing. So I'm so upset. All right. I will talk to you all tomorrow. I always do a post-game recap video on my channel just because, again, I watch every game as it is. So, like, why not post about it? And I hope you all have a great Halloween. And make sure to follow, by the way, on Twitter at Locked On Blues, where I post everything St. Louis Blues, my own Twitter and Instagram at Haley T. Simon. And I will talk to you all again. It can only go up. I hope. Probably not. But again, tanking for McKenna. And when it happens, I'm just gonna say, at least that's a positive. All right, I'll talk to you all later. And like always, let's go Blues.